You are now listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Hez Brown. This bi-weekly community affair show will present issues and information that affects you. If you have any comments or ideas for a future show or topic, reach us on the WRVS-899 Facebook page or on Twitter. Use hashtag Around the Town. Today, we are really honored to have our guest, who is Mayor Joseph Peel, and we are glad to have him here. We know that he has a lot of experience in the political arena, a lot of experience as being the mayor of Elizabeth City. So welcome, Mayor Joe Peel.
Thank you, Hez. It's good to be with you tonight.
It's great to have you here. So, Mayor, this is really not an interview. It's really a conversation. There aren't any gotcha questions here or anything like that. What we try to do is bring information to the community that they don't get anyplace else. And I think we should call this Inside City Hall. Mayor, how many terms did you serve?
Hez, I had the pleasure of serving the city for 3 terms, a total of 6 years. Over
6 years, yeah, okay. What are some of the interesting things that you can point out that happened during your term as mayor?
Well, we've really had a lot of good things happen. Probably the one that's happened that we really didn't have a lot of control over, but has probably benefited people most, is we've been able to reduce our electric rates by almost 20% in the last 2 years. And that happened as a result of us being able to sell our power assets to Duke Power. And that 20% reduction in the last 18 months has put $13 million back into citizens' pockets. So it saved our citizens about $13 million over the last year and a half, which is a significant number for this community. Another thing that's happened that we did have a lot of control over is we built the second delivery point, and that happened about 4.5 years ago. City Council had been talking about doing that since the early 2000s and never really pulled the trigger. And we had gotten to the point where we were getting ready to max out on the amount of power we could deliver to the community. And we were going to have to either declare a building moratorium or build a second delivery point. And council, we were fortunate that most of council voted to build that second delivery point. And it's now out across from Fairfield Inn on Halstead Boulevard. And what that's enabled us to do is to greatly expand the amount of power we can bring into the community. And so we can continue our growth, which is important. And the second thing it allows us to do, it makes it a lot safer. So if we have a hurricane or a bad weather situation, we now have 2 ways we can bring power into the city so we can reroute stuff. If we lose power in certain areas or lines go down, we can send it through now another whole set of lines that we have. So it's really improved the safety factor in the community as well. And that was a huge investment, over $3 million. But all that money came out of the electric fund. So it's been worthwhile doing. And there's been a lot of other things that we've done. A lot of infrastructure. In the last 6 years, we've done almost $100 million of infrastructure improvement. All the work that was done on the drawbridges, Charles Creek Bridge being rebuilt. Remember all the issues we had downtown when the streets were all torn up. We replaced all the water and sewer lines, repaved. And that was working with North Carolina Department of Transportation to do all that. But City Council has to vote to do that, and we've got to be able to coordinate the work that we do. And we've done a lot with the 4 families in Parks and Rec. The city spends close to $2.5 million a year in our recreational budget. And in the last 6 years, we've added a number of parks. We added Veterans Park, which is right over the drawbridge downtown. We're still working on Coast Guard Park, but we've added that park and done about $100,000 worth of renovation to that site already, with probably another $250,000 to go. We opened the splash pad back in May, and that was a huge event. And we're now getting ready to build a skate park over in Enfield Park as well. And that's basically been designed, and we're hoping to have that open by March. So those are, significant. One of the things we heard back during Vision 2020 is we needed more things for families and kids to do, and that didn't cost a whole lot of money. So I think these kinds of initiatives have been really important. We made significant improvements at the old fish court site, turning that into a park, moving the basketball courts down to Dog Corner. Knobs Creek Gym was completely air conditioned and been rebuilt. Charles Creek Pavilion has been replaced completely, and we're looking at adding a big educational walkway on the back side of that through that interesting ecological area that exists. It goes from Charles Creek Pavilion all the way back into the swamp with all kinds of birds and fauna. It could really be a great addition, educational addition, to the Museum of the Albemarle that we have down there already. So, it ought to bring some folks in. It'll give our kids another whole way to begin to understand the environment around here, which is so unique, and well as the wildlife that exists as well. So anyway, those are just some of the things we've done, but there's a lot more.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get to that, because we're gonna try to get as cover as much as we can. One of the things that Mary, when I first moved here, I moved here in 2003. The place was booming. I mean, it was, it took me, I think, 2 to 3 months to find someone just to build my house. The contract was all busy. Everybody was working. Everything was moving. And certainly it has nothing to do with the administration of Elizabeth City, but all of a sudden the bottom fell out of the economy on a nationwide basis and things just stopped, But I notice now, as I drive through Elizabeth City and Pasquotank County, and I see all this building going on. They're building homes again. They're doing all these things. What is going on? Does somebody know something that we don't know?
But I think the economy has come back, and it's come back pretty dramatically. You're exactly right. They're adding another 100+ homes out at Stockbridge. Thule Harbor, which is over there next to River Road Middle School, has been sitting there for at least 15 years. There's now 2 homes are completely built, and they're beginning to build the condominiums. There's, I think, 2 pads I saw the other day when I was over that way. The Coast Guard housing sold, and they're renovating those. Those are all full. We just built Morgan's Point was built there by Farm Fresh. That's 127 units. That was filled up before it ever opened. So there's a lot of things going on. If you look out on across from River Road Middle School, can't think of the name of that development, but they have built at least 15 houses in there in the last year. And I was through there on my bicycle the other day, and there's a couple more being built. So you're right. There's a lot going on. There's another apartment complex coming on Halstead Boulevard. There's a lot of things going on. It really is exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Right. I tell you that because when I moved here, I wanted to move to a place that was growing, not a place that was going down.
Right.
And I was excited when I moved here, and then again, I see all these things happening now, and I'm not even sure that the community is aware of all the good things, all of the progressive things that's happening in terms of building.
Well, they probably aren't. I think you have to pay attention. The city council has done some good things too to help facilitate that, especially in the downtown area. We have 5 years ago, city council voted to provide $80,000 a year for downtown improvement grants, and that has spurred I think, a rebirth of downtown. If you've been down Water Street, see the old facade on the Fowler Building. There next to the bank has been redone. Across the street in what was the old Hurdle Hardware Building, that's been sold now, and that will become a microbrewery and restaurant, with the second floor being a big venue for parties and weddings. It'll be on the river. It's going to be a really exciting venue, I think, for food and for the brewery part. And that looks like a whole European little walking corridor because it goes from Colonial all the way over to Elizabeth. And all the restaurants on Poindexter, with the exception of Toyama's, which has their kitchen in the back, so they couldn't do it. They now all have seating on the alleyway, and so people can dine outside as part of the venue of those restaurants on Poindexter, as well as Hop and John's, which is there on Colonial. So there's been a tremendous, the old wig shop on Poindexter has been totally renovated, old Bradshaw's, and all that's happened through these downtown improvement grants has been an impetus for that. So I think there's been well over $3 million of revenue, private money, that's been brought to bear on the downtown as a result of the 300+ thousand that the city has invested. So I think we've seen a real rebirth, and we're seeing, some real activity that I think is healthy. And there's also some retail coming, so that's good too.
Well, Mayor, let me ask you a very personal question now. All these things that you're talking about happened under your watch as mayor. Mm-hmm. And why are you leaving us? Why you didn't run again?
well, it all happened under my watch, but you have to, you can't. You have to also give credit to the members of City Council that vote for all these things as well. The mayor can't vote unless there's a tie, so you have to have at least 4 votes before the mayor can at least vote. But the mayor does have influence. But to answer your question, because I'm old, and I wanted to be able to enjoy my grandchildren a little more. I mean, I've really enjoyed being the mayor, and I certainly appreciate all the support I've gotten from the community while I've been in this role. But I think there comes a time when, it's time to pass it on to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And there comes a time when I have 6 grandkids, and the mayor is a pretty busy schedule.
It's a part-time job.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's there's not too many days of the week where there's not at least a couple things you have to do.
No.
There's a lot of meetings. A lot of people, have expectations of you being at certain events, and so you've got to be a lot of places and do a lot of things. So it's hard to have a whole lot of time to yourself. So my wife and I are looking to travel a little bit more and see the grandkids a little bit more, and just have some more family time.
Okay. The reason I say that, as you know yourself, before I came here, my whole life was 40 years of politics, and I had my first elected position was to the school board. And what convinced me to run, they said, well, the school board only meet 2 nights, twice a month,
Yeah.
And then after I left that, I went on to become a council person, and they said the same thing. Well, they only meet 2 nights, But I don't think folks realize that these jobs are part-time pay, not part-time jobs itself. And so I found myself busily engaged, going to meetings, subcommittee meetings, community meetings, speaking at various places. And it's actually a full-time job in terms of being a mayor, because you're never off. You go out to dinner, you're not off. You go to entertainment, you're not off. Somebody always has some kind of problem. You always have to have answers for them. But as I said again, I just want to clear it up, because it's a part-time paid job. It's really not a part-time job being the mayor or on the city council.
I think if you take it seriously, you're exactly right. I mean, I think, not to say there are some people who probably get elected and don't do all that stuff, but I think that if you're elected, that's part of the responsibility of being in those positions.
Right. You mentioned one thing, the skate park. What is that, a roller skate or what will that be?
Yeah, you see all these kids out with skateboards?
Yes.
So this will be a park for them, and it'll be designed. I mean, I don't know a lot about skateboarding, other than I tried it once, about killed myself. But the kids, you see them a lot of times over on Eringhouse Street back there, around one of those old empty buildings. They've sort of set up some jumps and things. So this will be a place where they can go and have fun and enjoy themselves. Mm-hmm. And the Parks Department has gotten them engaged and giving some feedback on what they'd like and what they want. And they're working with a professional company to help design it. And so, it'll be good. It'll be over another edition in Enfield Park. So Enfield Park has really seen a transformation.
Right. Okay. Let's pause for a moment. We'll be right back with more Around the Town with Hez Brown.
When you think about giving, do you think about WRVS 89.9? Hi, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Brandy, freshman students at ECSU and student volunteers here at WRVS 89.9. And while you're making your holiday wish list, take some time to make a generous donation to this radio station.
Your donation is tax deductible and supports training for students and volunteers like us.
Plus, your favorite radio shows will stay on the air because of your support.
Now is the time to give. Call 252-335-3985 and make a donation with cash, check, debit, or credit card. You can also donate online at ecsu.edu/WRVS. Happy holidays!
And thank you for your support of WRVS 89.9, your community voice.
You are now listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown.
You know, again, when you serve in the capacity in the political arena, there are some things that you do that you find most rewarding, that you can at night when you lying in bed, you can look and says, wow, this was one of the things I accomplished. What was some of the most rewarding things that you experienced in serving as the mayor?
Well, I think, a lot of the things that I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of, anything that, gets done like that, I think you feel good about. I mean, I looked at being the mayor as my job was to help make the life of people in the city, better. And I think one of the big things we've accomplished is the expansion of the shopping center out on the Halstead Quarter. That spurred a lot of additional growth. We now have got, the 7-Eleven, you've got the car wash, you got the restaurant out there, Starbucks is out there. You got 2 more grocery stores getting ready to go up out there. I don't know how many people are aware of that.
But you said 2 grocery stores?
Yeah, back where the 7-Eleven is, on that corner, Aldi's is going to be on one side, and Lidl, which is a new sort of introduction into the United States, is going to be on the other side. They're going to be sort of catty corner. And Aldi's is getting ready to happen, I think, here in the next number of months. Lidl has gotten everything approved, but because they're new into the American market, I think they're moving a little bit more slowly. But Lidl has opened stores in Wilson, Greenville, and over in Rocky Mount, because I stopped at the one in Rocky Mountain not too long ago, and they're nice. It's a similar kind of store to Aldi's. Mm-hmm. And so I think, back about 4 years ago, you were hearing a lot of talk in Camden about they were going to try to start a mall, and they were going to do this, and they were going to do that. So to me, what that shopping center out there expansion has done is it has solidified us as a commercial center for northeastern North Carolina. And I think that was significantly important for me to have done, because we didn't need to have another shopping center. You haven't heard any talk about another shopping center anywhere in the region since that's expanded, because they can't compete with all that out there. And so what that has done is it brings about $400,000 a year in sales tax money to the county, and about $200,000 a year in sales tax money to the city. We had to approve a special, what we called a business improvement program, where we allowed the owners of the mall to keep the real estate taxes level for 10 years. We basically gave them, in essence, about $2 million. The deal would never have happened if we didn't do that.
Right. So
we didn't lose any money, but we get all the sales tax, which we wouldn't have gotten had we not done that. But in about 7 years, the real estate taxes will jump dramatically, and then both city and county, because that believe it or not, is in the city out there, will get a huge increase in sales tax. So it's been a win-win for everybody, and plus there's about at least 250 jobs out there, and some say, well, those are retail jobs and those are good jobs. But getting Hobby Lobby out there was a key, because Hobby Lobby's starting salary is about $15 an hour.
Right.
And they have benefits, they have all kinds of stuff. And I recently had lunch with the guy that's the manager at Walmart. And, when you see Walmart, if you nationally look at the news, they don't have a particularly good name. But I was surprised to learn that their starting salary is over $10 an hour. And they also have benefits. They have health insurance, and they have a retirement. You have to work there for, I think, 6 months to be able to start kicking in the retirement. But they match what you put in up to 6%. Well, that's pretty darn good. And they also are hiring people, depending on the jobs, but they do hire some new people to make up to $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. So I think what Hobby Lobby has done is it's pushed the salaries out there up, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And I think what we have to do, we are the commercial center. And as I talk with people who manage these places, we don't have enough local people managing those stores.
Right.
We got people that are coming in from Virginia. We got people coming in from Ahoskie, I hear, and other places. We got to get our folks trained and educated so they can get those management jobs, so they have a career path in that commercial setting. Because those are big companies, and Hobby Lobby's got stores all over the United States. So you may not necessarily be here, but if you get in with a company like that, you really do have a career.
Yes, I think that the improvement brings things both ways. It brings jobs, regardless to where they are now, but it brings jobs, and it also brings money in. It brings in money that will offset, hopefully, the tax base in a sense.
Well, it does.
So it's more than just jobs, but it's other ways.
Well, yeah, and that you're exactly right. I mean, the sales tax piece is a great example of that.
Yeah.
I mean, people from all over when they looked at that, they looked at a 100-mile radius.
Right.
So they're bringing people in from all over. The one thing we haven't gotten out there yet that we're working on pretty hard, somebody's working and getting closer. We need a Cineplex out there, not a 6 or 8 Cineplex movie theater.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen. It's going to be not on my watch, but within the next 2 years, that's going to happen. I think we're getting a lot closer.
And
so that'll be huge because that will help even attract more people here, because now we got people going, to the beach or to Virginia, to the movies, and when that comes, they're going to be coming here.
Right. Another thing is, too, I see that downtown itself, in which I call Center City. This is the name that Bishop Sutton and we penned for the mall area. But I go there every morning and walk, and I see that they're busily engaged in working there. And so I don't know what the essence of it's going to be at the finished product, but I do know that they're tearing down half of all of the J.C. Penney part of it. But at the same time, they're building something next door. So it's just not going to be Tanglewood. It's going to be whatever this shapes up to be. Right here in the city. Do you have any thoughts on what they plan on doing there?
Yeah, what they're doing there is they are going to turn it into a strip mall. So, excuse me, all the stores that were in the mall in the backside are going to be brought forward to the front. And so you will no longer be able to walk in the mall. That inside and the back part will be closed. And so they're going to redo the facade in the front, do plantings. I mean, it's going to really look a lot nicer than it does now. The J.C. Penney's building is going to be torn down, and they are trying to recruit another grocery store or a restaurant of some kind into that space on the end. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. You may have seen something in the paper. The charter school is looking at possibly inhabiting the back side of that mall and is exploring that. So if that were to happen, I call that Midtown. We have downtown, Midtown, and Newtown, as I call them. and that Midtown quarter is important. And, if that charter school were to come there, again, that brings people from all over the region. You'd have 1,000 people a day, a lot of energy in that quarter. I think that would really spur a lot of more economic development. I think one thing people have to realize, and I don't think we always do, is when again, expanding, like we talking about earlier, expanding the mall. Well, if you want manufacturing, you want businesses to move here, one of the things they look for is quality of life. Well, getting a TJ Maxx and a Hobby Lobby, and getting all the other stores that are out there, that's huge for attracting businesses, because now it gives you leverage. Rebuilding your downtown so it doesn't look like a ghost town is huge, because people come here, they don't want to move to a ghost town. They want to move where there's life and energy and people are, things are happening and going on. And so the whole thing is a system. You can't just say, well, go recruit a company. You do go recruit a company, but you got to have quality of life. You got to have all the other kinds of things that they want their employees to have. And so you got to work across the whole spectrum.
Hey, Mayor, under your watch also, Elizabeth City became a Coast Guard city, which I think was significant in terms of the relation. And I don't think that we have gained all we can gain from becoming a Coast Guard city. So what more can we do to kind of merge this together to make it happen, where there are more advantages, we can look at it being a Coast Guard city?
Well, we just just had a 2-hour meeting yesterday with a group of consultants that are in here. It took a group of community people through responding to a SWOT analysis of how we can become more closely aligned with the Coast Guard. And the Coast Guard city was a big thing. That's huge. We are the 17th Coast Guard city. The future of Elizabeth City, in my opinion, lies with that air base out there. That's Elizabeth City's golden goose, is 2 miles south of Elizabeth City. And one of the things that we have tried to do during my 6 years as mayor and the city manager and the economic development person, Wayne Harris, we have been working diligently to try to dramatically expand that base. We are making some progress, but I think one of the things I leave the mayorship regretting is that we haven't been able to do more during the 6 years. But part of it was what you talked about earlier, the economy, sequestration didn't help us any, and then just the politics in Washington, because those decisions are made in D.C., and we have been to D.C. 4 or 5 times having those kinds of conversations with senators and our representatives, Department of Homeland Security and other people. But things look like they're beginning to move, and there should be an announcement here in the next few months about the first piece, hopefully, of what's expanding out there. But the city, owns about 55 acres out there that have a good number of which are already ready to build on. There's water, sewer, power, all that stuff is already run out there. There's a runway that you go down Consolidated Road is built that goes across Consolidated Road. And but there's a lot of potential because the Coast Guard is part of Homeland Security, and the Border Patrol, for example, has more planes than the Coast Guard. And they have no depot maintenance like the Coast Guard has at that base. And so there's huge opportunities for expanding what's out there. And you've got 3,000 people employed out there. And so that's, again, COA's air maintenance facility program is key. The program, aviation program at ECSU, all those are good things to have to help, bring those folks on board. But,
okay, Mayor. One of the things that I have often, more than one time, commended you for, and I think that was one of the most creative and innovative programs that I've ever witnessed, was the 2020 Vision Program. We weren't just not looking at what's going on now. We look at what's going to happen in the year of 2020. And I know, and I was very pleased to serve as the chair of one of the committees, and I think we made progress in that. But what are some of the things under the 2020 Vision Program that has been accomplished, and where does that whole thing stand right now?
Well, I think what's happened is, we have basically what came out of Vision 2020 has been incorporated into the goals and objectives of City Council, and which is where it needs to be, because that's the group that's going to make a lot of this stuff happen. I think that the focus we've had on downtown improvement is a direct result of what came out of, because one of the subcommittees was downtown improvement. The focus that the cities have with the downtown improvement grants I talked about earlier, I think that's the result of what came out of Vision 2020. A lot of the things I talked about earlier about Parks and Rec, that I think is a direct result of what came out of Vision 2020. The leadership program, which we had last year, trying to develop people, that came out of there as well. And so if you look at the City Council's goals and objectives, you will see a lot in there that mirrors Vision 2020. The same kinds of things that we say we thought were important. And I think the significant thing about Vision 2020 was that, we had well over 2,000 people that participated in that process in some way or another, whether they came to a public forum and participated. I know in the Education Committee we had well over 100 people at 2 public forums. The Downtown Improvement Committee had 1,500 people respond to a survey they gave. So, there was a lot of interest and a lot of people participating. I think it's important that people see. The waterfront, we ended up buying the Max Sawyer building. We now have bathrooms and showers on the waterfront, so that's good for the boaters. But that's also good for, you've seen the development of the movies, the music on the green in the summertime. Now people have a place to go to the bathroom if they're down there. And the bathrooms are open every day, so you now have a public bathroom downtown. So I think it's made the waterfront a lot friendlier. The bulkheading on the water has all been rebuilt in the last 18 months. So those kinds of things, I think, are a direct relationship of the focus that came out of that.
Okay. Now, I do know, too, that that there's some unfinished business under 2020. Have you talked to the mayor-elect about how to proceed with some of those things that's unfinished?
We've had several good conversations about those kinds of things. And trying to get her, Ms. Parker's been a good member of the county commission, but the city is a whole different ball of wax. And so trying to get her aware of some of the things and getting her involved in the some of the meetings. She was at the meeting I mentioned yesterday, for example, trying to get her up to speed and on what's going on and what still needs to be done.
Okay. Now, Mayor, do you have any regrets about not running for mayor again? All these things that you talk about that have been accomplished. And I know it's one of the things we very seldom think about is because we live in a world where our focus primarily is on negative things that take place. And so sometimes when we start to work at these things, we never look at the things that we accomplish. We just take those things for granted. And all the things you've outlined that have happened just in a 6-year period of time, you know what I mean? So when you look at all those things that have taken place for a period of time, you say, well, wait a minute, maybe I should rethink this thing here. I should have stayed on and accomplished some more things.
Well, the only regret I think I just mentioned is that we haven't been able to really expand the military presence at the base. Mm-hmm. That, to me, is that's going to happen at some point, and when that happens, this area is going to explode. Mm-hmm. And I think we've made some progress, but I would like to have been a part of making a lot more progress along that. That's really been frustrating, and part of it is you're dealing with different players all the time. We had Butterfield was our representative, and then now he's no longer here, so now you're dealing with different people, and you're re-educating and trying to get all these people up to speed. And if you could have kept the same people for a while, you would have been able to make a little bit more progress. But with all that being said, we have made some progress.
Yeah, I know that Commander Brown was really a refreshing breath of fresh air to come. But I think every 3 years they transition. They go someplace else. So maybe we have to start at the top to.
The kinds of decisions I'm talking about are made well above Captain Brown's head.
Right.
Yeah, you've got to make those in the commandant's level.
Yeah, but he was interviewing.
Commander Brown was one. And our new base commander, Captain Maders, has picked up that banner and carrying it forward. So, we've been fortunate with the last 2 base commanders. Yeah, have been very involved in the community.
Okay, now as we kind of wind down here, and it's been very, very interesting, very educational, and I'm sure that as our community listen to this program, we cover the information that you're not going to, you don't have time to elaborate on. It's one sentence, but here you can go in detail such as you have done, and I think that it's going to raise the awareness level of the community to a large degree to those who listen to those things that said, So now let's just move to another area in terms of national politics. And before I go there, let me just say, sometimes when you run for office as mayor and you do as well as you've done over the period of time, there's an aspiration to move to a higher position on a state level, either on a federal level. You have any aspiration to run for a state representative, run for Congress, run for senator?
I think I told you what my aspirations were earlier.
I know it.
Grandchildren and some travel.
And I can tell you the only thing
maybe a fishing pole.
The only thing that's permanent is temporarily.
That's right.
But anyway, you don't have no aspirations.
No, I don't have any aspirations.
All right.
Yeah, I think at my age, I'm going to be a little late for that.
Well, they got guys. I remember.
I know.
Senator Byrd. He was 100 years old. They was wheelchairing him in right into to vote. He didn't show up anything but to vote.
Yeah, I remember that too.
But anyway, Mayor Joe Peel, we just thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for being the kind of leader that you've been, And thank you for being so open to the community. It's a lot of things we didn't cover here, but the time always run out. But we appreciate you, and we thank you forever and ever and ever. And thank you for appearing on Around Town with Hez Brown, with Clay Mercer monitoring this whole program. But I want to thank you, Clay, for all you do, too. All right. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hez.
We'll get you back again 6 months later.
Okay, that'll be great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown, recorded and produced at WRVS-FM Studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University. If you are interested in becoming an underwriter for this